When it comes to selecting frameworks for AI agent systems, it can be very challenging knowing what to pick, knowing how to decide which framework is going to be the best fit for your project or for your use case. So I want to run a few things by you so that as you are looking to select different frameworks that are coming out, pretty much we have, one or two frameworks coming out every month nowadays. So I just want to give you some information that will help you to make this decision, and you'll be confident as to what you have decided when you pick the right framework. And in some cases, you might need to pick two, maybe multiple frameworks to accomplish your objective. So we have different needs when it comes to building AI applications. The first thing I want you to consider is that every application has to have a particular agent that is responsible for doing the reasoning. So in this scenario, you have the language model here. So your multi-agent setup needs to be able to have a subset of it that performs the reasoning when it receives input. So this agent needs to understand what the rest of the agents have to do, which agent to call and which agents to skip when it comes to completing and satisfying the requirements of the input. So planning and reasoning is something that you have to make sure that whatever agent architecture you're designing can do this properly. And the next thing you have to ensure is that we typically have to interact with remote databases. We might have to interact with remote APIs. So whatever agent system that you have must be able to interact with tools. So tools, if you're not really familiar with that, these are methods or functions that are dedicated to receiving specific data structures and returning with specific data structures, so that the language model can use this to make decisions that allows it to either create, retrieve data, modify data by deleting or updating these records in remote systems like APIs or data stores or databases. So tools are very, very crucial when it comes to creating an AI agent or creating agentic systems that are able to complete different tasks correctly. So having the ability to interact with tools efficiently with the right data structure is very, very crucial. So if your framework cannot do this, you should not select it. Or if your language model cannot do this, then you should not go with that. So this is very important. Another thing is that we have a scenario where we need to take a look at what the language model has created, or trying to validate or do quality assurance or do reflection on what has happened so far. So having the ability within your multi-agent architecture to perform reflection and validation or quality assurance on what has been done so far is very, very critical. So if your agentic system or if your multi-agent architecture does not allow you to do this effectively, then I would say don't go with that particular framework. Another thing that is very important is that we have the need to remember what has been happening. You can imagine calling a customer service agent, and the agent asks you for your name. So you tell the agent your name, you tell them your account number, you may tell them how many people are traveling with you. And then a few seconds later into the conversation, the agent decides to ask you again for your name, why you're traveling, where you're traveling to, and your party size. And this can get very frustrating. So having the ability to recall information in the short term, in the long term, is very, very crucial when it comes to building this multi-agent architecture. So when it comes to memory, you have to pick the right architecture, you have to pick the right tool, you have to pick the right framework that allows you to maintain state, to keep track of what has been transpiring in the interactions or what has been provided in the request as we're doing this analysis and as we are performing the task to satisfy the request that was made. So making sure that we have memory implemented in the framework or in the library or in the architecture that you're designing is very, very important for building multi-agent architectures. Now, another thing that might not be really obvious is having the ability to collaborate. So your agents have to be able to do handoffs properly. The agent needs, when they complete the task, they have to be able to figure out which agent has to pick up from the current agent and what information has to be passed to the next agent so that the request can be completed and we don't end up in an endless cycle that we don't understand what is going on and the application will just crash because we're not able to satisfy the request, particularly if there are multiple agents that have to be involved in completing the request. So making sure that multi-agent collaboration is supported in your framework is very crucial in building production grade applications and multi-agent architectures. Another thing that we don't really talk about is that we need to have the ability to see what is happening, because if we cannot understand what is happening, it makes it very challenging to debug issues that take place in production. So observability is very crucial when it comes to multi-agent architecture. So if your infrastructure, if your multi-agent framework is not able to support this, then you have to pick another one that supports it. So having the ability to keep track of everything that is happening, to monitor it, to see, like a bird's eye view of everything that is happening is very important, both inside the backend system as well as the front end portions. Observability is very, very crucial. And if your framework does not support this, you have to pick a different framework, because in production, it's going to be a big headache to resolve issues. And then finally, no pun intended, we have to find a way to figure out when the request has been completed. So when we have all these multiple agents interacting, how do we decide when to end? How do we terminate the request, and how do we know that the job is completed? So having a way to figure out that the request is complete, that we have to stop for now and report back to the requester or to the client is very, very crucial. So make sure that as you are designing your multi-agent systems, you have the ability to understand the conditions that are necessary for termination. And this is very crucial. Otherwise, you might end up in an endless loop where the application times out and you have spent a lot of LLM tokens trying to service the request, or you have also consumed so many resources to make this happen. So I just want to run down the list of things that we have to consider when picking these agentic frameworks. So nowadays you see so many frameworks. You have LangGraph, you have Crew AI, you have Pydantic AI coming into the mix now. You have AutoGen, you have Semantic Kernel, you have so many other frameworks. But when you are picking any framework, make sure that you take into account all these things that I've mentioned, and this will help you to decide which framework would support you in production without any headaches. Because it is one thing to create fancy demos and impress people in the short term, but when it comes to running it in production, you need to make sure that it is stable and it supports your vision both in the short term and the long term, and it makes it easy for you to see what is happening and to maintain it. So that's everything I wanted to share with you in this video, and if you think that this is beneficial, please share the video with someone else that would find it helpful. And also, if you're interested in doing a deeper dive into building AI applications on Microsoft Azure, you can sign up for my waiting list, and when we open it up for registration, you will be one of the first to find out. So thank you very much for your time today, and I will see you in the next video.